At Hello Work, a professional staff assists you in your search for a job. In addition to Hello Work's job counseling and referral services, unemployment insurance benefits are provided to those who are making active efforts to seek new employment, have the ability to work at any time, and are unable to find new employment despite actively looking for work. We will now explain the proper procedures for receiving unemployment insurance benefits. In order to receive the unemployment insurance basic allowance, there are a few conditions that must be met. There are 3 conditions. First, you must be willing to find a job and actively making efforts to look for work. Second, you must have the ability to work and be ready to work at any time. And third, you must be looking for work but unable to find new employment. When all 3 of these conditions are met, the person is considered unemployed, and only when they are in that state that they are eligible to begin receiving benefits. For example, someone who leaves a job and has no intention of working for a while, or who only wants a short-term job that does not require enrolling in unemployment insurance is not eligible for benefits. We will now show some conversations between recipients and Hello Work staff as a way of explaining the benefit system to those who will be receiving the basic allowance. Please have a seat. I'd like to ask about unemployment insurance. How long can I get it for? And when can I start getting it? I'd like to start getting it as soon as possible. That would be the unemployment insurance basic allowance. The number of days you can receive benefits is determined by how long you were covered by unemployment insurance and the reason you left your job. The number of days one can receive benefits is generally determined by the period of time one has been insured, the recipient's age, their reason for leaving employment, and other factors. Those who left their jobs due to reasons such as the company's bankruptcy or dismissal without being given time to find a new work are referred to as a specific qualified recipients, while those who left their jobs due to non-renewal of a fixed-term labor contract or other unavoidable reasons are referred to as a specific unemployment person with reasons. The specifics of the criteria for each category can be found in the Unemployment Insurance Recipient Handbook and elsewhere. This determination of the reason for leaving employment is made by Hello Work, which checks the reason stated on the separation notice and objective materials to verify the reason. Those who have completed the unemployment insurance procedures will be issued an Unemployment Insurance Benefit Eligibility Certificate or Unemployment Insurance Benefit Eligibility Notice full version. On these, there will be fields for the prescribed benefit days and benefit periods and dates. Prescribed benefit days is the maximum number of days one can receive the basic allowance, which is determined by factors such as the period of time one has been covered by unemployment insurance, the recipient's age, their reason for leaving employment. The number of prescribed benefit days can be seen here. Benefit period is the period in which the basic allowance can be received, which is generally a period of 1 year from the day immediately following the date of separation from employment, even if there are prescribed benefit days remaining. If the benefit period has ended, the recipient will no longer be able to receive the basic allowance thereafter. In other words, the basic allowance is paid on days you are unemployed within 2 ranges, the benefit period and the number of prescribed benefit days. There are also some cases in which the benefit period can be extended if a recipient is unable to work for continuous periods of 30 days or more due to reasons such as illness, injury, childbirth, or childcare during the benefit period. It can be extended for up to 4 years, and the recipients can receive the basic allowance once they become able to work again. In order to qualify for this extension, you must submit an application application for extension of the benefits period between the day after 30 days of being unable to work and the last day of your extended benefits period. You may also apply by proxy or via postal mail. Please note that in the event that your application is submitted late, even if you apply within the application period, you may not be able to receive the basic allowance even if your benefit period is extended. So please apply as soon as possible. Additionally, those who start a business after leaving employment may be eligible for a special exception for the benefits period during which they are engaged in that business. Please see the Employment Insurance Recipients Handbook for more information. Next, as to when you can start receiving benefits, since we completed the procedures for determining your eligibility today, you will now have a 7-day waiting period that starts today. A waiting period? Yes, the 7-day period from the date your eligibility is determined is called the waiting period, and we use these periods to confirm that you are unemployed. You can't receive the basic allowance until this period ends. There is a 7-day waiting period that must elapse before the basic allowance can be received. Additionally, if you leave your job on your own volition, there is an extra delay in addition to the initial waiting period before the start of basic allowance payment. This is known as benefits restriction. For example, if you resign for personal reasons without just cause, benefits will generally be restricted for a period of 1 month after the waiting period ends. For resignations before March 31st, 2025, the restriction period is 2 months. Additionally, if you leave your job due to personal reasons or are dismissed for serious reasons for the 3rd time or more in 5 years, benefits will be restricted for 3 months after the end of the waiting period, and the basic allowance will not be paid during this time. Furthermore, if you refuse a job introduced to you by Hello Work without justifiable reason, refuse vocational guidance provided by Hello Work, or refuse to take part in vocational training as instructed, payments of the basic allowance will be suspended for a period of 1 month from the date. In my case, I left my job because of reasons on the company side, so I'll start having money transferred into my account after the 7-day waiting period is over, right? No. In order to receive the basic allowance, you have to be certified as unemployed on the certification date. The basic allowance is paid for the days which you have been found to be unemployed. So, in order to receive the basic allowance, you have to come to Hello Work on the designated date, declare that you are employed, and receive confirmation of your employment. This is called unemployment certification, and the date on which it takes place is the certification date. On your unemployment insurance benefit eligibility certificate or unemployment insurance benefit eligibility notice full version, there will be a field labeled certification date. In that field, there will be characters such as type 1 WED. This is your unemployment certification date. If the field contains type 1 WED, it means that your certification date is on the Wednesday of week type 1. Please check the calendar in your Unemployment Insurance Recipients Handbook to see when week types are. Week types range from 1 to 4, which means that you will have a certification date once every 4 weeks. Some months may have 2 certification dates, or certification dates may be changed due to holidays or other reasons. When you come to Hello Work on your certification date, please make sure to confirm when your next certification date is. Funds are usually transferred into your bank account approximately 1 week after your certification date. However, please note that transfers may be delayed due to bank holidays during holiday periods such as Golden Week or the year end of New Year. What happens if I can't come to Hello Work on the certification date? Well, if you don't come to Hello Work on the certification date, we can't confirm that you've been unemployed until the day before the certification date. In that case, the basic allowance for the periods from the previous certification date to this one won't be paid out. However, if there are unavoidable circumstances such as a job interview or job offer, you can get special permission to change your certification date by contacting Hello Work in advance. and providing documentation to provide it. In the event that you find a job, you can change your certification date to the day before your new job starts. Additionally, in the event of situations such as illness or injury or within 14 days or a sudden need for nursing care due to the illness of a family member, you may be able to change your certification date if you submit documentation to verify it. The basic allowance is benefits for those who are actively looking for work on a regular basis, so changing the certification date or providing certification via documentation can only be done in special cases. So please make sure to contact Hello Work in advance concerning such matters instead of trying to make that decision yourself. If I come to Hello Work on the certification date and get certified as unemployed, that means I'll start getting the basic allowance, right? That's right. But you have to be actively seeking employment to be certified as unemployed. Generally speaking, if you've done 2 or more job-seeking activities between the day of your previous certification and your next certification date, you can get certified as unemployed. As a general rule, in order to be certified as unemployed during a certain period, you must have conducted at least 2 job-seeking activities. Additionally, if the benefits restriction period is 3 months, you must, generally speaking, have conducted at least 3 job-seeking activities during the total period consisting of this period and a period of eligibility for certification immediately following the end of the restriction period. Please note that activities such as simply browsing job information in newspapers or online or asking acquaintances to find work for you will not be counted as job-seeking activities. Please see the Unemployment Insurance Recipient Handbook for more information. The main types of job-seeking activities are as follows: applying for a job, receiving job counseling referrals or other services provided by Hello Work, and attending events such as courses and seminars, receiving job counseling, job referral or other services provided by a licensed or notified private institution, or attending seminars or other events that provide guidance on matters such as the job-seeking methods, receiving job counseling provided by public institutions or other organizations, or attending or participating in events such as courses, seminars, and company information sessions where individual counseling is available, taking national examinations, certification tests, or other qualification examinations that are useful for finding new work, and so on. If you attend a seminar or other such events, please bring a documentation of your participation, or if you took a national examination, bring a copy of your examination voucher or the certification date. Then, in order to receive the basic allowance, you need to submit an employment declaration form on each certification date. Can you show me how to fill it out? Of course. First, if you worked at all during the certification period, whether you got any income from it or not, you need to mark A yes in section 1 of the form. If it's your first certification date, any work you do between the day your eligibility is determined and the certification date needs to be reported. Do you plan on doing any work during this period? I've been asked to help out at a friend's company one day next week and one day the week after that. Alright, on your first certification date on the current section, mark the days you worked 4 or more hours with a circle and mark the days you worked less than 4 hours with an X. Is there a difference between the circle and the X? The basic allowance will not be paid for the days marked with a circle, where you worked 4 or more hours, but these days will not be subtracted from your remaining number of benefit days. For the days marked with the X, where you worked less than 4 hours, you will receive the basic allowance for those days at first. But when you receive income for these days, you will need to write the date you actually received the income, the amount of income, and the number of days you received income for in section 2. Depending on this amount, your basic allowance may be reduced or not paid at all on some days. Other type of work such as helping family business and volunteer work must also be reported as well. Next, let's move on to how to fill in section 3. As I explained earlier, you need proof of your job-seeking activities in order to be certified. And section 3 is where you fill in your record of job-seeking activities. Mark A. Yes, I looked for a job. If you look for a job during the certification period for Part 1, job seeking method. If you looked for a job at an agency or other organization that falls under items A through D, mark the appropriate items. Fill in the dates of your job-seeking activities, the name of the agency you used, and the details of your job-seeking activities. If you looked for a job at an organization other than Hello Work, also fill in the phone number of the facility or the person in charge. If you looked for a job and applied for it on your own, in Part 2, fill in the name and phone number of the business where you applied, along with the date and method of application, the type of job, the reason for applying, and the result of your application. Do I need to fill in the phone number too? If you looked for work outside of Hello Work, please be sure to put the phone number of the business you applied to, as we may call them to confirm that you applied there. Next, in Section 4, the basic allowance is paid to those who are able to actively search for work. So as a general rule, if you don't respond to a referral from Hello Work, you can't receive the allowance. However, if you decide to start or prepare for employment or self-employment, you can receive the allowance up until the day before you start working. If you make the decision to prepare to start your own business, the day you make that decision will be treated as your date of employment. If I get sick or injured, will I become unable to receive the basic allowance? If you become unable to work due to illness or injury for 15 days or more after your eligibility is determined, you can receive an illness and injury allowance in lieu of the basic allowance. That is the same amount. The number of days you receive an illness and injury allowance is treated as an equivalent number of days for which the basic allowance is paid. If you become unable to look for work due to illness or injury, please be sure to contact Hello Work as soon as possible. If you haven't found a job, fill in everything up to Section 4. Then put your certification date or unemployment declaration form submission date, your name, and the recipient number on your benefit eligibility certificate or benefit eligibility notice. When you find a job, you need to fill out Section 5 right here. If you decide to take a job that meets the requirements for enrollment in employment insurance, which is 20 or more hours of work per week and 31 or more days of continuous employment, even if it's a part-time job, you are required to report it to Hello Work as employment. If you find a job, please mark A. Employment in Section 5. Then, mark the applicable items from 1 to 3 regarding the circumstances that led to your finding the job. Then, fill in your date of employment and information about your workplace. What do I do if I find a job? If your employment is scheduled to start on the date before your certification date, you are generally asked to come to Hello Work on the day before your start date. If the day before your start date is the day that Hello Work is closed, please come on the day immediately before that, when Hello Work is open, excluding weekends and holidays. Also, if you find a new job quickly, you may also be eligible for re-employment allowance if you meet the requirement. The re-employment allowances is for those who find stable employment with at least 1/3 of their prescribed benefit days remaining. It is calculated by multiplying the daily amount of the basic allowance for the remaining days of 60% or 70%, then given as a lump sum payment. There is, however, a limit on how much can be paid. Also, if you receive the re-employment allowance, you will be deemed to have received the basic allowance for the number of days equivalent to the amount received. Other allowances are also available, such as the employment promotion and retention allowance, which is paid to those who received the re-employment allowance and have worked at their new employer for 6 months or more and whose wages at the new job are lower than what they were at their previous job. Also, persons with disabilities who find stable employment through referrals by Hello Work or other employment agencies can access benefits programs, such as the regular employment support allowance, which is paid under certain conditions, such as when the number of days remaining to pay is less than 1/3 of the prescribed number of benefits days. Details about the requirements can be found in your unemployment insurance recipient handbook. Furthermore, if you're looking for a job through Hello Work in a wider area or relocate to a new residence to take a new job that you found through Hello Work or a licensed or notified employment referral agency, there is also an allowance for that as well. This concludes our explanation. Please be sure to come here on your first certification date. Okay, I will. If you have any questions about the unemployment insurance system, please don't hesitate to ask. You can even call us if you want. You can also go to the referral counter for employment consultation at any time. So please feel free to stop by. Best of luck in your search for a new job. Thank you. The basic allowance and other benefits of unemployment insurance are designed to give you the support you need to find new employment as soon as possible. The cost of these benefits are covered by the premiums paid by working people and employees as well as precious taxpayer funds. Because of this, there are severe penalties for any misconduct that runs contrary to the intent of the system. Please make sure to fill out the employment declaration form and any other documents you submit to Hello Work truthfully, and do not hesitate to ask Hello Work if you have any questions. While I'm sure you are already aware, in addition to falsely reporting job-seeking activities, submitting declarations in which you fail to report employment or part-time work, falsely report number of days worked, concealing that you have become self-employed, and receiving or attempting to receive benefits will be considered fraudulent receipt of benefits. Please note that this is also the case if you submit a false reasons for leaving your last job when performing benefits procedures. If you are found to be fraudulent in receiving benefits, the law states that you will no longer be able to receive the basic allowance ever again from that day forward. This is known as suspension of benefits. Any benefits received fraudulently will, of course, have to be repaired. Furthermore, you may also be ordered to pay a penalty up to twice that amount received fraudulently, which means you would have to pay 3 times the amount you received. In some cases, this can total several million yen. Furthermore, you may also be subject to criminal prosecution for fraud. It goes without saying, but unemployment insurance data is managed by a computer system, so any discrepancies will be readily apparent. Hello Work always conducts in-depth investigations of business establishments and related parties as well, so any instance of fraudulent receipts of benefits is sure to be discovered. This is why your declarations must be made correctly and truthfully. So, how was that? We have just gone over the procedures for receiving the basic allowance and other benefits. If you are dissatisfied with Hello Work's ruling on your basic allowance or other matters, you may file an appeal with an employment insurance examiner within 3 months from the day following the day you learned of the ruling. Unemployment insurance benefits can only be received after the necessary procedures have been completed. The information you enter on your employment declaration form must be correct and truthful, so please look it over once more before you submit it. Also, please read your unemployment insurance recipient handbook carefully to learn about the details and procedures for the different types of benefits available. And if there is anything you have questions about, please feel free to speak with the staff at Hello Work. Hello Work is here to help you find a new job as soon as possible.